Okay, so I'm Natalie Parker. I'm currently taking an online speech class, so today I'm going to give you a speech on a few tips for college. I hope most of you plan on going to college. And my first semester, I took a class that we read this book. It's called College Rules. It has a bunch of really nice tips in it that'll help you throughout your whole career in college, and it'll even help you through high school now. So I think this speech will really help you guys out. So today I'm going to talk about note-taking, how to remember what you learn, and some study strategies. So these things will really come in handy, especially the note-taking in college. So first of all, the first tip is to sit in the front row. Your first day in college, you're going to be really nervous and not really want to sit near the front, but it is a really good idea. This book, it refers to some studies that have been done that kids who sit in the front row of their classes tend to do better on their tests, so it'll really benefit you in that way too. Also, you'll listen better. And you tend to ask more questions when you're in the front row because you don't see everybody in the class, so you won't be as nervous to ask questions. You'll see the professor's visual aids, and usually they'll be kind of small, or they'll write notes on the board and they have really sloppy handwriting usually, so sitting in the front row will really help you read those and take better notes. Also, you'll be able to hear clearly. Not all the rooms are like good for in all the places to hear very good, so that's another reason. Okay, and you'll also want to write during the entire class period. It's better to have too much information than not enough at all, especially when you go back to your notes for studying. You want to have too much information. It's a lot better. And it keeps you interested. That way your mind isn't wandering, and you'll just stay focused on what class you're in. Also, use symbols and abbreviations when you're trying to write for the whole class, and professors talk usually really fast, so you really want to focus and try and use as short of words as possible. Also, you want to stay organized. You'll have friends who miss class, so you'll want to date them to make sure that they know when the notes are from, and you'll also want to put page numbers on there. Also, use just simple lists. Don't write out whole sentences because then you won't be able to get everything that you need down. And indent and underline key points and examples. That'll be really important when you go back to study your notes. Then here's just a few other tips. You want to be prepared for class. You want to get there kind of early. That way you're ready to take notes for the whole class. Also, you want to listen for cues. Usually they'll be like, this is going to be on the test, so you want to put a star by that especially. And use pen because pencil seems to fade and get smeared. And then I'm also going to talk about the split page note-taking technique. And there's also software for it on your laptops if you decide to take notes on your laptops. So this is a split page technique. Before class, I would get a few pages ready, and you just either fold it or draw a line down, making the right-hand column bigger than the left. During class, you'll take notes in the right-hand column, and then when you go to study, you'll write maybe potential questions that could be on the test over here, or maybe questions that you don't understand, so you can go back and ask your professor about those. So that's a really nice way to take notes, especially in college. It'll just keep you organized, and it'll help you study better. I'm also going to be talking about how you remember what you learn. The first thing you want to do is reflect on what you learn. And you want to make sense of what you learn. If you don't understand something, you probably won't remember it. So you really want to make sure that you understand what you're learning. Also, you want to put the material in your own words. If you just write it how it is right out of the book, you're not going to remember it as well as much as you would if you would put it in your own words. The next thing is you want to rehearse it. You want to repeat it to yourself or even out loud. That will help even more. And you want to write it down. And a study showed, they did a study at Harvard University, and the study showed that if you write it down and say it out loud at the same time, you'll remember 90% more of what you do than rather if you just do it one way or the other. Also, you want to review what you learned. You want to reduce the information down to the essentials. That's why when you take notes, you want to write down more information than you might actually need. That way when you go back, you can read through that and really underline or write down what you're actually really going to need. And study groups are really popular in college. You'll go into some college classrooms and there'll be signs, study group tonight at 5. And there's a bunch of students do it, and it helps a lot with tests. That way you get other students' input and you can put your own input in. But it's also important still to study on your own. And you also need to monitor your learning. You need to make notes about what is confusing you and ask questions. Your professors like when you go in and ask questions. That means you're paying attention. Also, you need to realize what you know really well, what you know kind of well, and then what you have trouble with. That way you can ask questions. And you want to monitor as you go along. You want to know what you need to work on more. Also, I'm going to talk about some study strategies to use. I'm going to first talk about some study tips, and then I'll talk about different study strategies for different subjects. Because in college, especially your first year or two, you're going to be taking all different random classes that